Hypothetically, we picture Crete as at first an island divided by its mountains among petty jealous clans which live in independent villages under their own chiefs and fight, after the manner of men, innumerable territorial wars. Then a resolute leader appears who unites several clans into a kingdom and builds his fortress at Knossos, Tylesis, Festus, or some other town. The wars become less frequent, more widespread, and more efficient in killing. At last the cities fight for the entire island, and Gnosis wins. The victor organizes a navy, dominates the Aegean, suppresses piracy, exacts tribute, builds palaces, and patronizes the arts, like an early Pericles. It is difficult to begin a civilization without robbery, as it is to maintain it without slaves. They usually cautious and accurate, Thucydides writes. The first person known to us by tradition as having established a navy is Minos. He made himself master of what is now called the Hellenic Sea, and ruled over the Cyclades. He did his best to put down piracy in those waters, a necessary step to secure the revenues for his own use. The power of the king, as echoed in the ruins, is based upon force, religion, and law. To make obedience easier, he suborns the gods to his use. His priests explain to the people that he is descended from Velchanos, and has received from this deity the laws that he decrees. And every 9 years, if he is competent or generous, they re-anoint him with the divine authority. To symbolize his power, the monarch, anticipating Rome and France, adopts the double axe and the fleur-de-lis. To administer the state, he employs, as the litter of tablets suggests, a staff of ministers, scribes, and bureaucrats. He taxes in kind, and stores in giant jars his revenues of grain, wine, and oil. And out of this treasury, in kind, he pays his men. From his throne in the palace, or his judgment seat in the royal villa, he settles in person such litigation as has run the gauntlet of his appointed courts. And so great is his reputation as a magistrate that when he dies, he becomes in Hades, Homer assures us, the inescapable judge of the dead. We call him Minos, but we do not know his name. Probably the word is a title, like Pharaoh or Caesar, and covers a multitude of kings. At its height, this civilization is surprisingly urban. The Iliad speaks of Crete's 90 cities, and the Greeks who conquer them are astonished at their teeming populations. Even today, the student stands in awe before the ruined mazes of paved and guttered streets, intersecting lanes, and countless shops or houses crowding about some center of trade or government, in all the huddled gregariousness of timid and talkative men. It is not only Knossos that is great, with palaces so vast that imagination perhaps exaggerates the town that must have been the chief source and beneficiary of their wealth. Across the island, on the southern shore, is Festus, from whose harbor, Homer tells us, the dark proud ships are borne to Egypt by the force of the wind and the wave. The southbound trade of Minoan Crete pours out here, swelled by goods from northern merchants who ship their cargoes overland to avoid a long detour by perilous seas. Festus becomes a Cretan Piraeus, in love with commerce rather than with art, and yet the palace of its prince is a majestic edifice, reached by a flight of steps 45 feet wide. Its halls and courts compare with those at Knossos. Its central court is a paved quadrangle of 10,000 square feet. Its megaron, or reception room, is 3,000 square feet in area, larger even than the great Hall of the Double Axe in the northern capital. 2 miles northwest is Hagia Triada, in whose royal villa, as archaeological imagination calls it, the Prince of Festus seeks refuge from the summer heat. The eastern end of the island in Minoan days is rich in small towns. Ports like Zakro or Moklos, villages like Parasis or Psera, residential quarters like Palicastro, manufacturing centers like Gornia. The main street in Palicastro is well paved, well drained, and lined with spacious homes. One of these has 23 rooms on the surviving floor. Gornia boasts of avenues paved with gypsum, of homes built with mortarless stone, of a blacksmith shop with extant forge, of a carpenter shop with a kit of tools, of small factories noisy with metalworking, shoemaking, vase making, oil refining, or textile industry. The modern workmen who excavate it and gather up its tripods, jars, pottery, ovens, lamps, knives, mortars, hooks, polishers, pins, daggers, and swords marvel at its varied products and equipment and call it Hemekanik Polis, the town of machinery. By our standards, the minor streets are narrow, mere alleys in the style of a semi-tropical Orient that fears the sun, and the rectangular houses of wood or brick or stone are, for the most part, confined to a single floor. Yet some Middle Minoan plaques exhumed at Knossos show us homes of 2, 3, even 5 stories, with a cubicle attic or turret here and there. On the upper floors in these pictured houses are windows with red panes of unknown material. Double doors, swinging on posts apparently of cypress wood, open from the ground floor rooms upon a shaded court. Stairways lead to the upper floors in the roof, where the Cretan sleeps when the nights are very warm. If he spends the evening indoors, he lights his room by burning oil, according to his income, in lamps of clay, steatite, gypsum, marble, or bronze. We know a trifle or two about the games he plays. At home, he likes a form of chess, for he has bequeathed to us in the ruins of the Knossos Palace a magnificent gaming board with frame of ivory, squares of silver and gold, and a border of 72 daisies and precious metal and stone. In the fields, he takes with zest and audacity to the chase, guided by half-wild cats and slender thoroughbred hounds. In the towns, he patronizes pugilists, and on his vases and reliefs he represents for us a variety of contests, in which lightweights spar with bare hands and kicking feet, middleweights with plumed helmets batter each other manfully, and heavyweights, coddled with helmets, cheekpieces, and long padded gloves, fight till one falls exhausted to the ground, and the other stands above him in the conscious grandeur of victory. But the Cretan's greatest thrill comes when he wins his way into the crowd that fills the amphitheater on a holiday to see men and women face death against huge charging bulls. Time and again, he pictures this lusty sport and its stages. The daring hunter capturing the bull by jumping astride its neck as it laps up water from a pool. The professional tamer twisting the animal's head until it learns some measure of tolerance for the acrobat's annoying tricks. The skilled performer, slim and agile, meeting the bull in the arena, grasping its horns, leaping into the air, somersaulting over its back, and landing feet first on the ground in the arms of a female companion who lends her grace to the scene. Even in Minoan Crete, this is already an ancient art. A clay cylinder from Cappadocia, ascribed to 2400 BC, shows a bull grappling sport as dangerous and vigorous as in these frescoes. For a moment, our oversimplifying intellects catch a glimpse of the contradictory complexity of man. as we perceive that this game of bloodlust and courage, still popular today, is as old as civilization.